Okay, so we're diving into a set of decisions about the corporation that we can call fundamental. And the principal category of those we're going to think about are transactions in control. So to start, I want to think through a very basic question. What's so great about control? Why is owning 51% of a corporation a lot better than, say, 51 times the value of owning 1%? Well, once you've got control of the corporation, you can run the company as you see fit. You can appoint your candidates to the board and ultimately as officers. You could even freeze out minority stockholders. In addition, there are other things that you might see as a benefit of control. You could have the firm do things that you want it to do. You could pay yourself. You could neglect the business in favor of your personal life. For all these reasons, control blocks of stock generally sell at a premium to the market price in individual shares. So what we're going to do are walk through various ways of acquiring control and some legal rules that govern them. We'll start with the most obvious way of gaining control, and that's by buying a pre-existing block of shares. We've thought before about the circumstance of a controlling stockholder. So imagine that's what we have here. We have Acme Corp with a controlling stockholder who holds 80% of Acme and some others who hold the remaining 20%. And those shares, suppose, trade on a public market and have a $6 per share trading price. Well, imagine someone comes along and is interested in buying that control block. They're not interested in buying a single share, going up, paying $6 for one, $6 for the next. If they wanted to buy a single share, they could, obviously, but that's not what they're interested in. They want the block that the existing controller has, one that's so large that it comes with the power to control Acme Corp. Now, in many aspects of life, when you buy things in bulk, you get a discount. So if you go buy, Kleenex at Costco, you'll pay less per tissue than you would if you bought a single package of Costco. Um, there's no bulk discount here. It's exactly the opposite. Because the block is large enough that it comes with control, it's more valuable than just a single share or a collection of single shares. Again, we're talking about value on a per share basis. So suppose that the amount the buyer is willing to pay here for the control block is larger, maybe much larger than the price that a single share trades for. You could imagine that the buyer might pay $12 per share for the shares in that control block. The established common law position has always been that the controlling stockholder is entitled to demand a premium and keep the entirety of it when selling a block of control stock. There's no fiduciary duty to the corporation or to other shareholders to share that control premium. We'll see that position expressed in the Zetland case, and then we'll look at the Perlman case, which in some ways cuts against that basic market rule. So we can imagine our starting point is that market rule. You're allowed to sell your control block for a premium, but there are a few qualifications. First, as I mentioned, we'll see something in the Perlman case. Another qualification is what's called the sale of office doctrine, which is pretty simple. Although you can sell control, as the controlling stockholder. You can't sell a corporate office. You can't say, pay me something and I will make you the CEO or the CFO. So to take the extreme case, imagine a CEO who owns no stock in a company, or maybe one share. CEO can't make a deal to resign and persuade the board to accept the resignation and appoint some other designee of the CEO for, say, a $50 payment to the CEO, $50 million payment to the CEO. We'll compare some short cases from the book to think more about the contours of this doctrine and where exactly we're going to draw the line between the sale of the control block and the sale of office. I want to mention another doctrine that you can think of as an exception to that market rule, and that is the doctrine involving looting. You can imagine looting as the taking of assets out of the corporation in a way that harms the corporation. In a sense, there's an implication that there's some underlying breach of the duty of loyalty. And the rule we'll see is that you can't knowingly sell to a looter. So if you're a controlling stockholder and you're going to sell at that premium, yes, you can do that, but don't do it to someone who intends to loot the company. It's not entirely clear how to characterize the source of this obligation. In the Perlman dissent, we'll see Judge Swan suggest that the duty arises out of some obligation not to help somebody else commit a tort. That's obviously an obligation that applies to everyone, not just to controllers. The Delaware case of Harris versus Carter also takes up this question. And again, this is something we will think about when we meet live.